Hello and welcome to Firstpost Spotlight, where we bring you stories that matter to you from all across the world. From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, we shed light on issues that shape our world. I'm Joshua Barnes, live from the Firstpost studios. Let's begin with the top headlines. India's economy continues its stellar run for a third straight quarter, growing at an 18-month high of 8.2% in the July to September quarter. Prime Minister Narendra Modi pays condolences to the people of Sri Lanka as the death toll due to Cyclone Ditwa amounts to 56. New Delhi dispatches relief material to its southern neighbour as PM Modi assures Colombo of firm support in the coming days. The death toll from the massive fire that tore through residential estate buildings in Hong Kong climbs to 128, with around 200 people still missing and authorities finally end rescue efforts. Iran's Nobel Peace Prize winner Narges Mohammadi says she's permanently barred from leaving Iran. The 53-year-old was imprisoned for over 3 years until her release in December last year on medical grounds. And for the first time, the World Health Organization issues directives to prevent, detect and treat infertility, which it said affects 1 in 6 people worldwide. We begin with a visit that's as symbolic as it is strategic, a moment India and Russia have both been building towards for months. Russian President Vladimir Putin will be in India on December the 4th and 5th for a state visit. This will be his first trip to India since December 2021, just a few weeks before he announced an offensive against Ukraine. Putin will not be in India for a routine stopover. In New Delhi, he, along with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, will lead the 23rd India-Russia Annual Summit, a tradition stretching 2 decades, now unfolding under the shadow of the near 4-year Russia-Ukraine war. The visit also comes at a moment when Washington has imposed so-called punitive tariffs on India for continuing to buy discounted Russian oil, a move India has denounced as unfair. And yet, in the current geopolitical landscape, the India-Russia partnership continues to go from strength to strength. And next week, it will be on full display in New Delhi's corridors of power. India confirmed the visit in a detailed statement. New Delhi has called Putin's state visit an opportunity to review progress in bilateral ties, set the vision ahead, and exchange views on regional and global issues. President Draupadi Murmu will receive Putin at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, complete with a ceremonial banquet signalling New Delhi's intention to treat this visit with the full weight of a special and privileged strategic partnership. But what makes this visit even more significant is its timing. On the ground in Ukraine, the conflict shows no sign of slowing. Moscow controls large pockets of territory. Kyiv insists it will give none of it up. India has walked a careful line, maintaining strong ties with Russia, calling for peace and keeping doors open with both sides. Prime Minister Modi's famous phrase, "This is not an era of war," remains key to India's geopolitical positioning in this conflict. This visit also comes after a period of unusually high engagement. PM Modi travelled to Moscow in July 2024 for the previous annual summit. The two leaders met again at the BRICS summit in Kazan in October the same year, and most recently in September at the SCO meet.
We have developed cooperation at various levels. Trade and economic cooperation overall shows positive momentum. Tourist exchanges are developing. We closely coordinate our efforts on the international stage.
Excellency, ये हमारे स्पेशल एंड प्रिविलेज स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप की गहराई और व्यापकता का परिचायक है। कठिन से कठिन परिस्थितियों में भी भारत और रूस हमेशा कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर चले हैं। हमारा करीबी सहयोग न केवल दोनों देशों के लोगों के लिए बल्कि वैश्विक शांति, स्थिरता और समृद्धि के लिए महत्वपूर्ण है।
Through energy trade, defence procurement, nuclear cooperation, space collaboration and the rupee-ruble payment pathway, the relationship has weathered the geopolitical storm better than many had predicted. Both sides will put on a display of partnership that has outlasted governments, crises, sanctions, and shifting global power dynamics. Now shifting focus to the International Criminal Court at The Hague. Scores of Filipinos today were glued to their TV screens awaiting a verdict on the potential release of former President Rodrigo Duterte. And the ICC has now shut that door, rejecting Duterte's plea for interim release, ordering that he remain in custody at The Hague. Judges confirmed the decision following a session that Duterte himself did not attend, a right he had formally waived. The appeal heard by the ICC involved two key questions. Should Duterte be temporarily freed while the chamber decides whether the charges against him can proceed? And were the judges who previously denied him bail wrong? The appeals chamber answered both implicitly with a no, upholding the denial in full. That means Duterte remains in custody as the ICC weighs whether the case could move ahead to a full trial. The next ruling, still pending, will determine whether the charges formally advance. With this, the 80-year-old former leader stays behind the walls of the ICC detention centre, the Dutch prison complex, long associated with the detention of former heads of state and senior officials facing international justice. The ruling marks a significant setback for Duterte's legal team, which had argued that humanitarian considerations, including his age and health concerns, justified letting him await key decisions outside of detention. But today's rejection is only the latest turn in a legal saga now at its most consequential phase. Duterte has been in ICC custody since March this year, when he was arrested in Manila on a warrant linking him to murders carried out during his violent war on drugs. From 2016 to 2022, Duterte's anti-narcotics campaign defined his presidency, a relentless crackdown that human rights groups say enabled police and vigilantes to kill thousands of unarmed suspects, often without due process. In October, Duterte's appealed the ICC decision to continue its case against him, calling his arrest unlawful and demanding provisional release. His lawyers insisted the judges had failed to properly weigh humanitarian considerations, citing his age, and claimed medical vulnerabilities. But the appeals chamber wasn't convinced, and its verdict today tightens the legal vice around the former president. Duterte, the 16th president of the Philippines and the first from the country's troubled south, rose to power on a single-issue promise, wiping out drugs and crime. His hardline approach drew fierce criticism abroad, but earned him loyal support at home, helping him sweep the 2016 elections after a fiery campaign. The appeals chamber's rejection today doesn't close the door on all legal challenges, but it does firmly shut one of Duterte's quickest pathways to release. For now, Rodrigo Duterte stays in ICC custody as the court moves towards its most defining decision yet. Moving on to our next story. China has released a new white paper outlining changes to its nuclear policy and force structure. The report details how Beijing plans to update its nuclear systems amid rising global military competition. The move comes as the United States and Russia continue to modernize their own nuclear arsenals. The white paper issued by China's State Council sets out Beijing's official position on arms control, disarmament, and non-proliferation. It states that China maintains a nuclear force designed for deterrence. The document confirms China is upgrading early warning systems, command structures, and missile technology. It also confirms work on rapid response capabilities and systems to protect its force from a first strike. The white paper repeats China's claim that its nuclear strategy is purely defensive. It states that its arsenal is kept at what it calls a minimum level for national security. But according to the United States Defense Assessment, China's nuclear stockpile is expanding quickly. China is estimated to possess around 600 nuclear warheads. This makes it the world's third largest nuclear power after Russia and the United States. China also maintains a no first use policy in its official doctrine. The report confirms China operates both silo-based and road mobile missiles. Silo-based missiles are stored in fixed underground facilities that offer protection but can be identified by adversaries. Road mobile missiles are transported on vehicles, making them harder to track and target. The document confirms China is working to improve missile penetration capabilities to counter missile defense systems. It also confirms expansion of early warning networks using radars and space-based assets. In 2024, the Pentagon assessed that China is moving towards a launch-on-warning nuclear posture. The report said China has upgraded systems that can detect and track incoming missiles. China is not alone in this trend. India is aggressively pursuing defense self-reliance. Russia has tested new nuclear-capable weapons in recent years. The United States is upgrading its air, land and sea-based nuclear systems. France has also deployed new missile systems as part of its modernization program. Major powers are racing to upgrade their nuclear arsenals, raising fears of a new global arms race. As countries expand and modernize their stockpiles, the risk of misjudgment and escalation is growing. With arms control agreements fraying and tensions rising, experts warn the world is entering a more dangerous nuclear era. For our final story, imagine this. You apply for a tourist visa to the UAE. You're packed, ready for a week of sunsets on the Palm Islands, and then just days before your flight, your visa gets rejected. Why? Because immigration believes you may have not come to the UAE for a vacation, but for begging. That's what Pakistani nationals are facing. The UAE thinks Pakistani tourists are arriving not with beach plans, but with a begging bowl. The UAE has paused issuing visas to Pakistani citizens, and the reason being cited is a rise in criminal activity and cases of Pakistani visitors resorting to begging on tourist visas. Pakistan's additional Interior Secretary told a parliamentary committee that the UAE has halted visas for ordinary Pakistani passport holders, limiting entry only to diplomats and government officials with blue passports. Gulf cities, especially Dubai and Abu Dhabi, have long been the first choice for millions of Pakistani travellers and job seekers. Every year, more than 800,000 Pakistanis apply for visas across the Gulf and West Asia. But this isn't the first time the region has said not so fast. Back in December 2024, the UAE, Saudi Arabia and several other Gulf states slapped an open-ended ban on visas for people from at least 30 Pakistani cities. The trigger, a sharp spike in cases of Pakistanis being arrested abroad, not just for begging, but also for offences like smuggling, drug trafficking, human trafficking, among other criminal activities. The UAE, especially Dubai and Abu Dhabi, has also been under pressure to clean up its public spaces as tourism season approaches. The country has adopted a zero-tolerance approach to street crime, and officials say the visa crackdown is part of that wider push to maintain its safe city image. But there is more behind these begging allegations being thrown at Pakistan. You see, the latest visa embarrassment arrives when Pakistan is already wallowing in deep economic woes, with public debt soaring, foreign reserves shrinking, and investor confidence low. As of mid-2025, its total debt has swelled to roughly $287 billion, pushing its debt to GDP ratio to unsustainable levels. A recent report by the International Monetary Fund has found that Pakistan's economic meltdown is deeply rooted in systematic corruption, and that Pakistan could achieve 5 to 6.5% increase in the size of its GDP over 5 years if corruption could be reduced. The political picture offers no relief either. Imran Khan, the imprisoned former Prime Minister, remains a flashpoint for political turmoil. Just this week, PTI supporters and Imran Khan's family staged protests outside the jail where he's being held, demanding access to him and expressing alarm over rumours of his death. Meanwhile, across the country, mass rallies and street protests have become more frequent over inflation and unemployment. In this fragile economy, where many Pakistanis are desperate for jobs, foreign remittances and stability, the new visa restrictions by the United Arab Emirates hits harder. The visa standoff now adds one more layer of uncertainty to a country already juggling economic strain, political unrest, and a global image it's struggling to repair. In the end, the United Arab Emirates has delivered a message to Pakistan that's hard to misinterpret. Not today, thank you, and possibly not tomorrow either. That's all we have on the show for today. We will see you again at the same time on Monday. Until then, thank you for watching.
From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, shedding light on the world's top headlines, detailed analysis on the stories that matter the most to you. Catch it all on Spotlight at 6 p.m. India time and 12:30 GMT, only on